All right, we are back underway, and it looks like we might have just missed the first break or shot. Just a little bit behind the eight ball here. Excuse the disgusting pun. But just picking up where we left off from the end of the second round of New Zealand team versus Mick Hill matches. So currently we're entering the third session. So we've got 6 players on the New Zealand team against Mick Hill, and everybody is going up for their third crack at the champ now. So Team NZ leading 7-5 after 12 frames in a race to 11. I think we're going to play out all the matches now until the climax of this match. So let's see how it goes. So Mick at the table. I feel like at first glance I like the layout of Reds better, just in that they've got a bit more room to breathe. The only thing you might not like about them is the opening pot, but again, really at this level I don't think that should pose too much of a challenge. Oh, and he's gotten away with one there, I tell you what, because if that yellow didn't go in, that easily could have been a major obstacle in the rest of those Reds. So not sure if he was planning on potting that yellow. I doubt it, but either way, Reds are looking absolutely fantastic now. So he's played a lot of side on that one to come through the gap. In terms of problems, obviously nothing major. We've got the red close to the rail on the left of the screen as we look at it. It's probably slightly obstructing the other red into that corner. Not massively, but sometimes even if it's just in your eyes, it's a problem. So you always want to take the one that's nearest the pocket first. Looks like he's just straight enough on it that he could pinch it with the bottom left and still come back, screw back this side of the other red. The other potential obstacle is we've got the red under the black. Similarly down here, I wondered the same thing. 2 balls going into the same pocket. You always want to clear one of them first. He was probably trying to get all the way to the rail there, but it looks like he can probably play this back one first anyway. So, yeah, no majors. Again, saying you would take the inside one first would be your preference, but if they both go, it's, really doesn't matter. So, red ball near the black. Couldn't quite tell exactly how much room he's got for that, but I guess with a nice straightish angle on this one, you're probably just running through and just dropping that other red into the middle. Yeah, nicely done. And just another good example of not trying to do too much. It'd be so easy to try and run a bit further through there and get a bit straighter, but good players are going to make that cut. And also the angle he's left himself, you see there again, he's using those natural angles. He just can naturally run 3 rails and he's perfectly on for the black. So often, I think when you first kind of, getting better at pool and working on your positional play, often we're kind of chasing with our position, trying to get straight on our next shot. And I think the more you play, the more you start to realise that you almost never want to be straight on any shot. You always want a bit of angle to work with, kind of take the cue ball towards your next destination. So Mick, well aware of that and knowing that, I can just drop the first ball in and just leave myself quarter ball to half ball on that last red, and then I'm just naturally running around. And again, when you're using that natural angle, you're not relying on your timing or getting your spin right for your stop or your screw back. All you've got to do is get your pace right. So I believe that makes it 7-6. So once again, Mick's just closed that gap up slightly. And I'll tell you what, while this is an exhibition, he won't want to lose. He will not want to lose this match to this New Zealand team, and I'm pretty sure I heard a little bit of banter from him saying as much in the room beforehand. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mick really step it up a gear in this last session. This is the Mick Hill show, you got to remember. He's going to want to come out on top, so I'm looking forward to seeing if he might just see him take a little bit longer on a couple of shots and really start to make sure of it from here. So it looks like he fancies yellows. I mean, I imagine this is all about the yellow and the red that are in a little mini cluster there. Maybe, oh no, Sorry, I assumed he was looking at the yellows. I think either way, the whichever set you go, the problem remains the same here in that we've got that red and the yellow right on each other. Are either of them on? I'm not so sure. So usually when you've got a little bunch like that, and especially if that's the only one, you just basically try and choose the set that it's going to be easiest to develop that off. And it's going to give yourself a couple of options here. So it looks like right now you could go natural angle. You either take this one to the middle, come off the bottom rail, back up into those, or you could take the one to the corner and use that to develop them as well. So he's tried to go rail first. Hasn't come off. He looks disappointed too. And at least he's left himself a couple of balls to work with, and that's one of the other things that's really important. And basically, when you're making these splits, it's very easy to leave your problem ball till last. But then if you go for your split and miss it, well, then you're stuffed. Whereas at least if you go for it early while you've still got some options, you might get another bite of the cherry. So, what's he got? Well, unlucky. He's counted it, and unfortunately, just the pace and the angle it's coming off, he just hasn't hit it very hard, and I don't think it's been quite enough to leave that red on. So the only thing I'm wondering, excuse me, is if he can screw back up to the sort of bulk rail, will that red go in the corner, sort of down the bottom right corner of the screen as we're looking, thread the gap between those yellows. So I'm not sure if he was going for the split or is it on in the corner. A little bit hard to tell from this end-on view sometimes. Obviously with a full-size cue ball, I'd be looking at that and saying, no way he pots that red without hitting the yellow first. But with the small cue ball, it just gets in that a little bit further. So and he's made it. Good tip for young players, anytime you're playing those ones that are going to be close to a simultaneous contact, usually a simultaneous contact is fair, and for the ref to be able to call a foul, you have to be able to clearly say you clearly hit the opponent's ball first. So I'll tell you what, when you play at that kind of pace, it makes it really hard to make that call that you hit the opponent's ball first. So obviously Mick needed that for the work as well on the white, but he's dropped that in, and I'm not sure if I've had the match scores jumbled again. I'm just doing an absolutely appalling job of keeping those up to date for you guys. Fortunately, the man, Paul Shivers, is doing a fantastic job running the stream and keeping the correct scores on the screen. So, hey, whatever I say, disregard it and just read what's on the screen. And just once again, I wanted to give that shout out to Paul Shivers, one of the unsung heroes behind the scenes. There's a lot of them all around the country and a lot of different roles and jobs. But I know as far as on-key streaming goes, Paul absolutely puts in the man hours behind the scenes to run the stream, to edit footage, all that sort of stuff. And not only that, he's working together with the team to try and develop the stream and take things forward and make it better. So he always does a fantastic job, and he's just a top dude to work with in general as well and all that. So thank you, Paul, for all your work. I know everybody watching really appreciates it. So 7-all, allegedly. Mick at the table. So massive break there. That one really hit with some venom, and we've got 2 down of the yellows and a red down as well. I think purely the fact that yellow's trapped there means he's not going to take it. So he's looking at the reds. The reds look pretty good, although I tell you what, the 2 yellows nearest the corners down the bottom of the screen as we look at it, they do pose obstacles for the reds. There's enough room from them that there's still shots and options, but those balls are in the way from the wrong positions. So definitely this one just requires a little bit more thought and care on the mapping. You can't just kind of float anywhere down there and think you'll have those to the corner. Maybe it's about being deliberate about getting underneath one of them to take one of them to one of the middle pockets early. Or alternatively, looking to move one of those yellows early. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mick look to do one of those two options. Similarly, red ball closest to the rail, you probably don't want to leave that till last. But again, player of this caliber, it's not a tricky pot. But yeah, I like getting rid of this one here. It's just it's your hardest ball. Now you don't have to come back to it. He's missed the pot. He's absolutely tried to cheat the pocket there because he's hit that very thick and very clearly into the near rail. I feel like it was probably more chasing the angle he wanted on the cue ball and perhaps took his eye off the pot. Maybe he was a little bit wary of, sometimes when you've got to play that ball really fine past another one, you end up erring on that side of caution where you end up hitting slightly further away from the other ball to make sure you don't hit it. Either way, he's missed and handed the opportunity back to Adam, and while that red is covering the pocket, obviously Adam's still got the skill shot or the replacement to take that pocket back. So really, really cool feature of these rules, and I think that's one of the key differences that a lot of the New Zealand players have been learning these rules over the last year. I think that's one that a lot of people are enjoying. If a pocket's blocked, it doesn't mean that the frame is going to start gravitating towards a more tactical exchange where your opponent's looking to cover a pocket back and sort of bide your time, be patient. Here, plenty of options and ways to clear that pocket and keep going. Now for Adam, as long as he hits his yellow first, it's a fair shot, and as long as he pots a yellow, he gets to continue. So if he pots a yellow and the red goes down as well, he's away. So initially I was wondering if he might look to get dead straight on that and just basically play the yellow into the red and get the yellow to finish it. But looks like he might have come a fraction too far. So the other option he's got now is he could play the yellow to the opposite corner and he could screw the white over into that zone. And knowing that worst case scenario, if he screws the white into that red and the red drops, he just gets to carry on from there and he would have a shot at the yellow to the middle. Might be tough to get on the black, but... so it looks like he's still pretty committed to playing the follow shot. And so with these ones, it's just important that you just nip them with a wee bit of bottom. Just gets that good contact that encourages the yellow to roll forward. And then the second piece of the equation is ensuring that the yellow hits as close to full ball on that red as possible. So nip it with a bit of bottom, full contact on the red, executed perfectly, stay out of the middle. That's a really good shot from Adam. It's it is a very makeable shot, and definitely as you start playing these rules, you kind of work out how you need to hit those, get the right contact, get the ball to follow forward. But executed really well from Adam. Just making sure of this black, a little bit twitchy on it. Yeah, well done, well done. Sometimes once you get up once or twice and you've second guessed yourself. It can be hard to sort of get up there the third time and actually get it done, but Adam showing there his experience and just how far he's come along as a player. It's been really noticeable to me being here in Christchurch, seeing how much Adam has sort of matured as a player and it just added all the composure and roundness to his game over the last year or so. And well taken finish there. So is that Team New Zealand edging back in front? Just give a shout out to Barry Appleton, our referee and MC for the night, doing a fantastic job in the green and black in the arena as always. And I guess while we're giving the shout outs and the thank yous, we can see his brand plastered all through the arena. Daryl Chambers from OnQ, obviously he's been sort of investing in the streaming gear over the last few years, and it's just been building and growing and into the quality production we see today. So big thanks to Daryl for that. I mean, well, obviously it's it's a bit of marketing advertising for OnQ. I absolutely think he goes above and beyond what he really needs to do, especially for someone who's not even a player himself. So big thanks to Daryl. Do a massive amount for this game, and again I know a lot of us really appreciate that. Alright, so just waiting to jump back to the overhead cam so that I have a slightly better view, but looks like... feel like I would slightly prefer yellows here, but only just those. It's just those two reds near the middle on the right. They're just a little bit tricky. If those yellows weren't around them, you'd be able to navigate them. But the fact that they're not really, it's pretty tricky to get on them to the corners. Yeah, I was just looking at one way I could have gone about. It looks like Mick's decided not the yellows are the balls. The obstacle for the yellows is probably the one nearest the rail on the right, as we see it. And I'm not sure if he's got the angle here. Yeah, nicely done. And so the tricky thing there, right, is anytime you're going to be playing, and the cue ball is always going to be really close to that yellow afterwards, you only have to overrun or come up short by like 5 millimeters, and you drastically change your angle. So pace control is everything, and often judging your distance control running through with a small cue ball can be quite tricky. So while it looked like a routine shot and Mick made it look very easy, I know for a fact that's the sort of shot that is very easy to get wrong if you don't take care. So again, yellow underneath the black is just slightly obstructed, so that's the one that probably needs the more precise positional shot. There's a couple of different ways you could go about this. You could take the yellow on the left first, draw back a wee bit, and then take the yellow that's closest to the black spot to the bottom right second. Or we could run through this and then take the yellow that's nearest the black spot to the left first. Both are equally valid. Yeah. And again, you might ask, why did Mick screw that off the bottom rail and back rather than just screwing it back 6 inches? And you can see he's got a finer cut now. And the fact he's got a finer cut means, that natural angle's there. If he'd screwed that back 6 inches, he could have played the same shot, but he would have had to stun it slightly at a bit more left. And it just requires a bit more timing and strike to get the cue ball round. The way he's gone about that, he's left himself a shot on his basically second to last yellow, where he doesn't need to do anything with it other than pot it. So, lessons to be learned there if you're watching, everybody. Nicely done from Mick Hill. I'm just repeating what I've heard him telling me earlier in the day at the lesson stuff. So very cool to actually see a nice clear-cut example of that in the flesh there. And looks like we just had a score update as well. I'm not sure if that made it 8-7 to Mick, or if the 8 was already going up and that made it 9-7. So we will see in just a second. So Mick to break. Let's see what he's got for us this time. Looks like we've got reds in. So it looks like he's got balls down and he's got a nice open table to work with. A couple of reds and a yellow. Definitely the breaking has been of a very high standard tonight all round. I think I've only seen 1 or 2 missed and maybe 1 scratch, but most of the time there's been at least a ball going down, if not several. And just big spreads, even as we look at the table here, no clusters. And I know I spoke about this in a earlier match, and just saying how, personally for me, I very much like this form of pool where we're seeing, faster games, more shots made, more clearances, and I think, just for the spectators, it's just a better product to watch, and I think for the players it's more fun. So great advertisement for international rule and an 8-ball pool here, really. So there we go, 8-all. So what a match. What started out as a race to 11 is essentially at this point a race to 3. Anybody's match. Team New Zealand versus the world champion Mick Hill, race to 3. And, well, I don't really know what they're playing for. I guess it's bragging rights, but bragging rights are still very valuable. I often, value the bragging rights above the prize money or the trophy, especially if I'm playing one of the mates or one of the boys in a final or something like that. You want to have that over them, and Mick's a champion. He's a proud man. This is the Mick Hill show, like I said. So he will not be wanting to go home second best. That's for sure. And for Team New Zealand, again, as we touched on, really, really unfortunately, we had to postpone the Test match we were going to be hosting at the Richmond Club this year. So, well, those guys will be gutted that they don't get a crack at the Aussies. They've got a crack at Mick Hill instead, and they will absolutely want to take this opportunity. And I think the fact that they're this deep into the match and in it, they'll be taking a lot of belief from this. So, while Mick has made short work of yet another clearance, again, I think the Kiwis will still fancy their chances here. And as we've seen already in this match, especially with winner breaks, if we're getting balls off breaks 2 or 3 frames in a row, can go either way at any time. So it's at the point where either team could win now without the other getting a shot. It really is. So fascinating scenes here. Can't wait to see who takes it out. Looks like we're got Steve and Mick just shaking hands, and be joining you very shortly for the next frame. All right, so Stevie D, Mick Hill, back underway. Once again, we've got another ball off the break. But crucially, the yellow is pretty well cut off. And if I'm looking at this layout, I would absolutely fancy the yellows first and foremost here. But what I wouldn't fancy is having to queue up over that red and pot the yellow into the corner. So despite the yellows being the better set, might be forced to go for reds here. And the reality is the reds are still on. So that's what we're weighing up. But it's sort of shot that maybe if you're a left-hander, your bridge hand might be slightly less obstructed and you might give this a go. So I'd be really curious to see whether he goes for this or not. I'm 100% sure what these boys are chatting about. Good to see, though, that even though we're having a competitive match out here, that the overall spirit and feel of the match is still pretty social and jovial, which is always good. And so Mick's gone for it and made it. So I guess that's just what you've got to weigh up there. And I guess at the end of the day, he didn't have to do too much more than pot it. So I guess the thinking there is that if you can get a hand on the table, all you've got to do is get that ball in the hole, and you fancy yourself to take the frame pretty easy from there. So he's done that. I think this yellow next to the black looks like he's gotten on that now. I was just about to say that might be the only other ball that needs a slightly more precise positional shot. And looks like he might have done that early. The only thing I'm wondering there, though, is with the angle he's got on it, he probably doesn't like where his next shot will be from. So looks like he's going to have to come back to it, and maybe that would be a good ball to play last. So I think if we go this one in the middle now, leave yourself sort of slightly short of straight, you've got a pretty natural angle to run up into a similar zone he was before, but you can then take the yellow into the corner last, sort of top right of the screen as we look at it, and in doing so, that sort of opens up the black and frees up the black. So I think the only thing here really, you probably just want to, you don't really want to go too far beyond straight. And again, just showing the angle on camera catching me out, I didn't realise how comfortably that was onto the middle. I was thinking he needed to play that towards the corner. So I love it. Once again, these players just making a fool of me. It's great. It's what we're here for. And at the end of the day, he's got it done. And that's another frame on the board to Mick. So as we said before, I think it was, I'm sure it was 7-all, 8-all. And we're saying, it was basically a race to 3 and it could go a few frames very quickly either way. Well, Mick has suddenly won 2 in a row and is on the hills. So it's anyone's game from here, though. And while Mick's got the break, he'll be fancying to break and run this. If he doesn't, NZ team will be right there. We are back at it again. Mick Hill is on the hill at 10. The NZ team is on 8. Race to 11. So one final break and run for Mick Hill to get the job done. But Should he not win this frame and New Zealand manage to get it, then as winner breaks, they will have the best crack potentially going for the whole match if they can hold serve. So while Mick is on the hill with a couple of frame buffer, I think that winner break just leaves it wide open. So all to play for here, and everything riding on this visit though. So can the machine get over the line at the first opportunity? Stay tuned to find out. Oh, is it dry? Is it dry? Has he hung the black? Would you look at that? I think there's only been a couple of balls missed off breaks all night, but guess the New Zealand pool gods must be looking down on this one, because when Team New Zealand needed a dry break most from Mick, they've got it. And what better man than Lightning Lily to come to the table looking to get the job done? So yellow's the balls here. I don't know if that's the best starter. He's limited his shot options very quickly. I wonder if he was trying to get far enough through that he would be able to have a shot at the. So we've got these two yellows that want to go in the bottom right. As we look at it, you definitely would have wanted to take the nearest one first. So all he's really left himself is a cut to the yellow, down a yellow on the left side of the table, and I wonder if he's taken that in the corner. If that's just looks a wee bit in off either way, doesn't it? So yeah, I really don't fancy this here, and equally trying to play the plant might be a little bit. I wondered with his bridge if it's a wee bit tricky for him, but this will be the shot if he can make it. Yeah, that was a tough shot. So, and has that still covered the red? So definitely, I think the fact, to be fair, missing early, definitely a lot better than missing deep into that set. The fact that there's still 6 yellows on the table actually works in Adam's favour there. Interesting, I wonder what Mick's got to say there. I wonder if that was a bit of banter or just something else. Hopefully, I'd love to see a bit of banter and a bit of smack talk out there at the business end of the match. But no, a lot of work to do here on reds. Obviously, that red pinned under the yellows, that's going to be critical. I wonder if he's thinking he's potentially looking at early. And obviously, yeah, that black over the corner making things hard as well. So tricky rack for reds. Probably just going to boil down to how patient Mick wants to be, really. Is he really prepared to kind of wait it out, or is he gonna try and force the issue and try and make some doubles and make some shots happen? And we have to remember that if he sinks the black out of turn early, that is frame over as well. So you do have to be a wee bit wary of that if you're running the white around the table. Not that Mick's the sort of player to run the cue ball loosely around the table, but just one more factor to be wary of. Oh, and I'll tell you what, he's put that cue ball exactly where he pointed his cue-tip beforehand. And I wonder if he didn't want to sink that one. I wonder if that's exactly the shot he was looking for. And I think obviously the fact that he's cut off any shots from Adam means Adam can't play that that combination of the yellow onto the red early. So I'm curious what he's going for here. I wonder if he's going to try and just develop one of those. I think he was trying to pot that red, cut Mick off down this end of the table. So would have been a good option. You can see there, if that red had dropped, Mick would not have a heck of a lot to look at from here. So right idea from Adam. Still a similar situation for Mick, really, because he's not going to want to play that red that's over the corner. That is still hampering Adam. And even though it might be that Adam can make that yellow through that red later in the frame, he may prefer to leave it just because it does make the finish on yellows harder. I guess the other way to look at it is he could decide to take this early if he thinks he can. If he thinks there is a finish on, then that is the only starter. What do we reckon? Should he roll the dice? He's gone for it. It's not a bad opener, you know. I think that really can make it in the middle. The middles on these tables do actually play slightly sharper sometimes. I would find this shot on, if he was going to take that red on the right side into the middle, and it's a slightly trickier shot on these tables than it is on our CNZ tables. But I don't think he's looking at that. I wonder if it is on to the corner later. I think the key ball, it's the red that's on the left rail, nearish the middle pocket. So it's a very, very specific angle and position he's picked out there. I'm wondering if there's a couple of things you could do here. If you take the red in the centre of the table in the middle, bit of stun, bit of left, get underneath that red on the left rail and develop, could be the shot. Or, what's probably slightly smarter, is rather than playing the developing shot where you're relying on a wee bit of luck, is get yourself on that one to the middle, and then he's probably thinking just get close to the rail. He's probably going to just try and land short side and take that red on down the long rail past the middle. It's a pretty good angle actually. He's left it. You want to try and find that balance where, especially when you're close to the red, where you're straight enough that you can still see the potting angle clearly, but you've got enough angle to work with that it's not too hard to get the cue ball out. So I feel like he's got it perfect. It's just all about the pot. Oh, I don't know. What do you reckon? Has that drifted out or has he missed it? I thought it looked pretty good off the bat. He looked pretty disappointed, so I can't help but wonder if that one's drifted off on him. I'm not sure. We'll have to check that out in the arena afterwards. But either way, that could be massive, because if that drops, Mick is odds on to take that rack and the match 11-8. And now he's handed an excellent opportunity back to Adam. And I'll tell you what, this layout looks very makeable for Adam. He doesn't want to ping the other yellow too far here. Yep. He's managed to miss it altogether, so that was a key shot. Didn't want to nudge it towards the black. But yeah, and as I was going to say, if he can make this run out, bring it back to 10-9, Team New Zealand have the break. And definitely in this format, having the break is a massive, massive advantage. So this match is wide open, wide open. Any order here on these yellows, you can't really get it wrong. I think the logical way is to go yellow to the middle, yellow down the rail, yellow back to the middle, but you can also just draw back here and play the same sequence. And I think the reason, and I'm a fan of this, I don't like playing balls into the middle if I can avoid it. And so while he could have gone this one first, he could have basically gone this one, then the next one down the rail, and then played his first ball back to the middle. I feel like there's always... It's just not a great angle coming into the middle from that 45. If you can play that ball to the corner instead of the middle, just de-risks the situation. So Adam about to get the job done here, and if he can make this black, sends it to 10-9. Team NZ is still in this. Way to go, Adam. So let's see who are Team NZ sending out next. Looks like it might be Simon Singleton gearing up. The question is, can he keep this momentum going? Can Team NZ hang in there and pull off the comeback of the century? We will see very soon. Alright, so here we go. Can Simon Singleton keep the New Zealand team's hopes alive? 10-9 to Mick Hill. Race to 11. Simon Singleton to break. Looks like he's tying those shoes. Very important to have appropriately laced footwear when you're breaking. This is massive in the context of the match. Really needs a break and clear here. Oh, and has he gotten away with it? So here I was talking up the importance of sinking off the break, and while he hasn't potted one, I don't think he's left any easy starters, and it's definitely not the most straightforward layout. So you wouldn't be surprised if Mick just doesn't want to bar this. No, he does not. And that was actually, again, harping back to the lesson we've done with Mick Hill today. That was one of the other things I noticed, is that basically on sets like this where there's where the balls, or even in other sets where maybe there's a starter but the rest of the balls are a mess, rather than potting one and then handing the turn over, he would much rather play this sort of game here where it's just a bit of game of cat and mouse and patience. Who wants to be the most stubborn? He'll just keep happily just nudging things around and not leaving a shot, and just kind of basically a bit of wait and see who wants to make the first error, or who wants to make the first move. So yeah, I'll be curious, because Simon's no stranger to this way of looking at the game and approaching it as well. I know he's spent a little bit more time with Mick following around this tour as well, so he's probably seen 3 or 4 times as much lesson time as the rest of us have. So if anybody's going to be well aware of how Mick would approach a situation like this at the moment, it would be Simon. So I'm just going to be very curious to see here who wants to go, who wants a crack. Obviously, it's not just as simple as just tapping and parking on the back of the ball, ladies and gents. We do have to remember in this rule set that you do have to make contact with the rail after contact. So that was probably the good idea of nudging one of those yellows away, and the position it's in. So even though we are largely just trying to nudge onto the back of a ball and shut him off, also having to factor in, can I make a rail after contact, and also can I leave a similar situation where it's tricky for my opponent to make a rail after contact. Is this yellow on? Oh, it was. I wasn't even sure that was on. I thought the yellow was just covering it. Not sure if he needed a trace of right to kind of turn the ball in and towards the pocket maybe, but great opening pot, and now a great opportunity for Simon. So he might be able to bring this back to Hill here. This is huge. So just wondering what his next shot here is. I'm suspecting that, again, normally you would think these 2 yellows at this end, you would ideally leave them till last, when the black probably wants to be played into the middle from the centre of the table, but just with the, it's just sometimes you're just forced to with the layout, and the first shot he had to play, that was the only region he could get himself into next. So looks like he's probably being forced his hand a little bit, and that he's going to have to take the yellows at this top end of the table closest to us first. And then come back for the black. That in itself shouldn't present a huge issue. Obviously, he doesn't have to play that black in the middle. He can get on it to the corner on the bottom left of the screen as well. So not straightforward. Obviously, the yellow on the right, as we can see, is partially covered by the red. I felt like when I looked at the overhead before that yellow is on if he gets the cue ball close to the rail, but I'm not 100% sure. So we'll see which way he goes here. No, so looks like he's just setting for the plant. Again, I can't quite see the angle as well as I'd like from here. It feels like to me that maybe if he plays that plant, that the first yellow might drift slightly closer towards the other red and yellow, which I don't know if that's a great result. However, if the plant is straight, then the yellow would largely hold its position. So I imagine he's going to probably have to try and get that first yellow to run through and land in the gap. So yeah, and you see he had to force that to really get that yellow to travel forward, and he's done well to make that yellow on, but he might have killed the other yellow in the process. It looks like that the second yellow that we're talking about now would be on to the opposite side of the table, top left corner of the screen as we look at. But damn, that would take some positional shot to hold it. So yeah, I think what he was just looking at there is more the shot for me. Looking to stun this into the rail, and ideally it needs to come back, miss the yellow, and just pop the red quite full, leaving that yellow on plum. This would be some shot. Oh, he's played that nice. And so that's the one thing there that's always tricky with that shot, with the small cue ball compared to the bigger cue ball, is with a full-size cue ball, that's going to hit that red and it's still going to have some momentum and keep rolling and open that angle up. With that small white hitting below centre on the red, just kills it. It's just stopped in its tracks. So It looks to me like the cut is still on, and the question is going to be, he's going to be running the white. It's just going to be pinging it. It's going to be unavoidable, but can the white miss that red in the other corner? Is he going to try and run all the way down to leave himself for the... You can see the diamond he's pointing around the table. If he can get back towards the black spot, leave himself the black into the middle, but I'm wondering if he just needs to try and just get himself out enough and have a longer ping on the black to the corner. Oh, he's gotten a bit lucky there. He's gotten lucky. I doubt that was the exact position he was playing for, but he's given himself a chance, you know. He's played a shot. Also often a good habit playing a bunch of spin like that means if the white is drifting towards the rail slowly, when it hits that rail, it's gonna get a decent boost off of it, and I think that side spin it held has helped him a little bit there. So now he just needs to focus on the pot. Doesn't have to do too much. It's a tricky pot with a compromised bridge hand, but he's got to make this. How is it? It looks good. Get in there. Get in there. Hill. And the boys love it. You can see Stevie D is up there with the high fives. Brent. And what a match. What a match, ladies and gentlemen. You could not have asked for better. We've got arguably the greatest player of all time, Mick Hill, playing against our 2023 New Zealand team. Race to 11, and here we are at 10-10. New Zealand team to break, match on the line, and it looks like tonight's captain, NZ Open champion Steve Denton, is stepping up to the plate. One frame. Can he get it done? Mick showing his class, shaking all the hands of the New Zealand boys before the deciding frame. Always good to see. So all the pressure and all eyes on Steve Denton. 10-all, we've been here a couple of hours. Looks like Barry's hyping this up, this final frame, as much as I am. Who will take it out? Once again, just thanks to everybody who's been involved with making this event happen. Everyone from the Richmond Club, Simon to Mick Hill, to the guys involved with the video, Daryl Chambers, Paul Shivers. I'm sure there's many others who I am completely forgetting, but yeah, thanks everybody. This has been a fantastic night and a fantastic match, and I can't wait to see who takes out this final frame. But would you believe it? Is this another dry break? And no, it's not. There's a yellow down. Why can't I see it? Actually, maybe I've miscalled that on a couple of others. I thought the balls were sitting in the pockets and I could see them. Alright, I might have made a fool of myself yet again once or twice on calling a couple of dry breaks that might not have been dry breaks, but this one is not a dry break. Fantastic news for Steve. Fantastic news for Team New Zealand. Bad news for me, because I called it wrong, but yeah, otherwise it's all good. So Steve is getting amongst the yellow balls here, and I tell you what, you got to fancy his chances. There's there's no obvious clusters, no horrific balls on rails. The only real challenge is the fact that there's that one red perched right in the middle of that group of four yellows. If that red wasn't there, Steve would be clearing these up for breakfast every day of the week. But it just gives him something to think twice about now, doesn't it? Also looks like the red on the left side of the table, bottom left corner, covering off that top corner for a couple of the yellows as well. Reduces the options a little bit. And then I guess last but not least, that the black is not in a fabulous position. You can see that with the black where it is, you will have to get a good positional shot and make a good pot on the black. And I tell you what, that's a great shot straight off the bat for Steve. That's fantastic. Basically, the yellow that was most obstructed by both of those reds, he's canted straight into it and nudged it into a potable position, basically making that ball on and freeing up a little bit more room to manoeuvre around the other three yellows. So really good shot there. That shot has given him the chance to take the match. So will he finish it? Yeah, not sure I love this angle here. I feel like natural is to run through off the right side rail and back out. I don't know if the angle is going to be pushing the white a little bit close to that yellow, if he's flirting with hitting it. The yellow closest to the black spot is probably the one that poses a little bit of issue. So let's see. Yep. How's the angle though? I think he's gone too far. I think he needed to, if he'd come up a ball shorter, he had the perfect angle where all he needs to do is just give it that little pop stun and the white ball just slides across nicely for the yellow. But I think here he might be a little bit straight, so I think we're going to see the screw back, and I imagine he'll be looking to... Oh, hang on, I could be wrong. Has he got the angle just to run through and play to the... and again, this is me just not seeing where the ball's on. It obviously goes inside the red to this corner on the bottom left. So for all those watching who thought that was on the whole time, have a great laugh at that one. And let's see, can Steve make that yellow and get the posi on the black and make the black? I mean, the angle looks natural. I don't know. My initial thought was maybe it's going a little bit close to the middle. And in which case he might just need to get the Q-tip just a little bit below centre, just to pull it slightly wide. You do want to be careful that white doesn't run away too much. He's also going to push that yellow very close to the edge of the red. Yeah, nicely done. And so the only thing a touch unfortunate there is just because the natural angle was to the middle pocket, he's had to play a slightly lower Q-tip to miss that middle pocket. And because he's had to add a touch more pace to get that spin to hold, he's just ended up slightly further away from the black than you'd want. So how about this for a pressure shot? 10-all against Mick Hill, one shot. Can he make it? Oh no! Oh, he'll be kicking himself. Oh no. He'd be devastated. That, if I'm honest, that it was a very tentative looking attempt. And hey, look, there's nothing wrong with playing them in that pace. I do like to play that slightly draggy shot on those ones sometimes, but it just didn't look like the most positive strike to me. I think he just had to back himself, not be scared. Very easy for me to say from these seats, but wow, what an opportunity. And these balls are just sitting here for Mick. I'll tell you the only thing I'm not 100% sure, obviously he's got that red that's covered by the black. I'm very reluctant to call what he can and can't do with that from my position after a couple of other howlers. I'm not sure if he can squeeze that in there past the black. I'm not sure if he's going to play this red here off the rail, off the black. Is that the shot? It sure looks like it. He's played that beautifully. You know, that shot is easy to mess up, and you can see the gesture there. He knew that was the money shot. What's he just done there? Has he changed cue? He's using Simon's cue for the finish. I can't believe it. I'm pretty sure he must have picked up Simon's 9-ball cue and is going to pot the last couple of balls with that. And there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unless Mick, something goes horribly wrong here, he looks set to take this match out 11-10. It might not be the result we wanted, and Steve, he will not sleep well tonight because he had a fantastic opportunity to take this match out. But credit to the New Zealand team, they've made a fantastic match of this. Well done, Mick Hill. I mean, it wouldn't be the Mick Hill exhibition show if he didn't win the match, I guess. But yeah, wow, fantastic. I mean, Hill, you couldn't ask for better. A lot of clearances, high quality match. Unfortunately, Steve had to be the one there at the end with the final chance. He couldn't quite take it, but no. Great scenes, great match. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.